According to the local council, they can still see some smoke there from the damage. The world's longest pleasure pier, extensively damaged, an investigation now underway into the cause.
You're watching Live at 5, the top story.
And is the fourth major blaze in the 116-year history of the structure, which of course is the world's longest pleasure pier. We'll be crossing live to the scene there to get the latest on the police investigation a little later here on the ITV News. Today, defiant town officials said the pier would be repaired, even though it could cost millions of pounds. Vanessa Langford reports.
At almost a mile and a half long, it's the world's longest pleasure pier, but today it stands in ruins. Flames broke out last night at the Essex landmark as 50 firefighters, 12 pumps and a rescue helicopter struggled to keep the blaze under control. A pub, fish and chip shop and kiosks, all located on the pier, were damaged and parts of the wooden structure fell into the sea. It's believed the fire started at around 20 to 11 last night. By 4 a.m. the flames were under control, but parts of the pier are still smouldering. Because the pier stretches so far out to sea, firefighters were facing a difficult task.
Initially we had no water to actually fight the fire. Because the tide is out, unfortunately the pumps built within the pier require the tide to be in so we can actually have a water supply. So what we've had to do is send firefighters using the hovercraft belonging to the RNLI out to the lifeboat station at the end of the pier, where they've set up water using light portable pumps.
The historical landmark opened in 1889 and has been extended over the years. This latest blaze is the fourth to hit the pier in the past 50 years. An investigation has begun into the cause of the fire, which is being treated as suspicious. Vanessa Langford, London Today.
Let's cross over to Julia now at Traffic Link. She's got all the very latest.
Parts of it, including a pub and a fish and chip shop, have collapsed into the water following the blaze. The cause of the fire is still being investigated, but tonight arson hasn't been ruled out. Rebuilding it will cost millions. Ron K. Phillips reports now on the Pier Inferno.
An aerial view of the burnt-out pier. The section of the world-famous landmark, which was destroyed, still smouldering more than 12 hours after the blaze first began. The night sky was lit up by flames from the blaze, which at one point leapt at least 40 feet into the air. Up to 120 feet of the structure was engulfed in the fire, the fourth in the pier's 116-year history. The battle to control the blaze was hampered because even though the pier has its own water pumps, they couldn't be used because the tide was out.
Unfortunately, the pumps built within the pier require the tide to be in so we can actually have a water supply. So what we've had to do is send firefighters using the hovercraft belonging to the RNLI out to the lifeboat station at the end of the pier, where they've set up water using light portable pumps.
The blaze was eventually brought under control, but fire crews were still at the scene damping down this morning. It was only then that they were able to survey the extensive damage caused by the fire. Several buildings, including the Jolly Fisherman pub and a chip shop, which was situated at the far end of the pier on the section which is built out to the right, literally collapsed into the Thames estuary, taking a large section of the pier's wooden floor with them. The pub's owners, who live nearby, watched the business they've run for the last 10 years burn to the ground.
When we looked from our window, we could see the pub silhouetted against flames, which suggested to us that the fire started behind the pub and obviously engulfed the pub and the rest of the pier.
No one can say for certain exactly how much it'll cost to restore this historic monument back to its former glory, but there's one thing the council says it can say for certain. The longest pier in the world will definitely be back.
Tonight we'll be reporting live from that fire at Southend Pier. Hello, first tonight, fire has destroyed part of the world's longest pleasure pier at Southend in Essex.
Since 1959 there have been 4 big fires on the pier. This one took hold a mile out to sea at the end of the railway line. Fire crews were called just before 11 o'clock last night. A section 100 feet long was destroyed, including the station, a pub, a restaurant and some gift shops. But the end of the pier is safe, the lifeboat station and the pavilion were not damaged. Let's go live now to Kevin Birch in Southend. Kevin.
Stuart, I have to say that Southend is a pretty sombre place tonight. We've had people down here today in tears over this. Easy to understand why they feel so much for this structure. So much money had been spent in recent years regenerating it, and then this, as you say, the fourth fire in 40 years. Maybe because of that, Southend has the ability to bounce back quicker than most. But there's no denying this fire will cost millions of pounds to put right.
Locals today talked about a structure which appears cursed. Officials talked about a phoenix rising from the ashes. This was the aftermath of a devastating blaze. It broke out last night just before 11, spotted by anglers, visible for miles around. There was an immediate sense of shock among local people.
It's a particular shock to see this today, particularly as I went up the pier this afternoon with a friend.
Everyone comes to see the pier and it ain't exactly all that now. Longest pier in the world, we ain't got one. Did have.
This morning we were taken to the end of the pier to see the damage. The intensity of the blaze was clear. Firefighting is never easy. Firefighting on a pier more than a mile out to sea is an awesome challenge.
There is an irony here. Over the years, these trains have been crucial in ensuring the holidaymakers keep coming, ensuring the money keeps coming. Today, they simply ensure the fire crews keep coming.
They were invaluable last night. They remained the most effective way in and out today as the damping down continued, as the hot spots still burned, as an investigation began into what was a massive blaze.
We train on the pier at least once a year doing exercises. We've actually had exercises, and this in actual fact was a scenario whereby the station caught fire. Was our worst case scenario.
Officials faced the media, insisting the pier will rise again, admitting many questions remain unanswered. Why did a new plastic fire main running along the pier and designed to pump water in the event of a fire fail? They admit the pier will be out of action next summer. It's a body blow for the people who have businesses here. Mark Marriott is one. Having watched his restaurant go up in smoke last night, today he headed back on one of the pier trains, having seen the damage for himself, not knowing what the future holds.
Well, just obviously have to see what the insurance company's going to do, how quick the council's insurance company get their act together. Obviously it's going to be a waiting game.
On the seafront this afternoon, charred debris from the pier was being washed ashore. A reminder of what's been lost, a reminder of the huge challenge facing this community once again.
And I have to say, you know, it is incredibly sad when you go out there and see the extent of the damage on a landmark that is such an iconic structure. Still don't know what caused it. We won't know that for several days. Let's have a chat with Anna Waite, who's a leader of the council in Southend. Anna Waite, what happened to your heart when you got the news this morning?
It started to thump very violently. Horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach. And then I thought, well, nothing other to do than get down there and see what's got to be done. And that's what we did. We came down, a team of us came, got a train out, 4 o'clock in the morning, lots of smoke, lots of sparks and flames, lots of firemen, very tired. They've done a marvellous job out there. And then as the dawn came up and we were able to get out again to have a better look, we saw the full extent of the damage. And about 12 o'clock I took a hovercraft trip around the whole of the pier and was able to see really quite serious damage out there.
We've said it's going to cost millions, that's no exaggeration. Now, the point has been made today that you maybe can lobby for government money. Do you think that's realistic?
Oh yes, quite definitely. This is a Grade 2 listed building. It's important not only to Southend but to the whole of the eastern region and the Thames Gateway, and I'm quite determined that we will be pushing every button we can to get all the funding and all the government assistance and European assistance we can to get this up and running. We've done so much work here in Southend in the last 5 years. It would be absolutely appalling to even begin to think that we can't get that straight.
But you've spent about 8 million, I think, over the past 5 years. Some may say it's time to let it go. This is just costing you too much money.
How can you let a structure like that go? That is one of the main tourist pools for the town, and everybody in Southend is really attached to that pier. I'm quite determined, and I know everybody else in the town would be determined to see it put right.
And briefly, in a few words, it's up from here. There's no time to be downbeat.
No, it's a phoenix rising from the ashes, and I'm determined to see that happen.
Anna Waite, thank you very much indeed. That's it.